I'm going to explain why an undercover detective was forced to take his mask off after claiming he had a $50,000 bounty on his head, and why the prosecution thinks that they're going to convict Melly of the death penalty. So what is wrong with the undercover witness wearing the Shiesty mask in court? Up to this point, if you're not familiar with the case or the trial, the masked undercover detective that's been testifying for the last 2 days alleged that Melly was a member of G-Shine, an affiliate of the Bloods gang. Last week, he sent one of the jurors into a panic attack for triggering her PTSD related to a crime she witnessed of somebody else wearing a similar mask. Today, it started with the defense asking the judge to have him remove the mask. They argued that it was in violation of Melly's Sixth Amendment right to confront his accuser. They also claimed that it wasn't fair for the jury to not be able to read his demeanor and facial expressions.
Had his mask on, and defense stood up and said, look, he was on internet, on Cash App is what it was called specifically, and he was shown with his family, and because of that, defense again said he should be testifying without his mask. The judge called a sidebar, they had a discussion about it, and ultimately the judge did allow the mask to come off. And the judge said he was doing that so Melly could look at the witness and confront the witness, so that the jury could look at the witness and determine the credibility. But what we agreed to do, because the judge asked us, is not to show the detective's face to the public, because he is, after all, undercover. So that's where we ended up on that issue.
Detective that tested the name of Danny Polo and has testified in various cases such as XXXTentacion's murder trial and the Stoneman Douglas shooting. This is the same detective that claimed a while back that Melly had put out a hit for his mother after getting access to his phone. Various cases such as XX and his mom responded on Instagram saying that this was an act of desperation. So here's the article where it just shows that it's the same detective, Danny Polo, that's claiming that Melly put his hit on his own mother. So Polo goes on, he says, if you read his phone, there's narcotics trafficking and firearms violations authorizing the killing of his own mother. Those are the things that you would consider authorizing. So here we have Melly's response to that. He put on his Instagram story lies right after this was all released. He said false agenda and that he's innocent. His mom also went in and she said this is pure desperation. Cap. Now remember, they're alleging that Melly shared this phone amongst all the other members of YNW. So just keep that in mind as we dive into each of these conversations. So there's a lot of controversy regarding the prosecution's approach to this entire case. This judge's face kind of just speaks for that. He's definitely not happy with her continuing to just backtalk him and go against him every time he's made a ruling. It's very evident that they're cutting corners and doing whatever they can to paint Melly in a certain light. There's been a lot of other lawyers that have spoken to on the subject of this witness's credibility.
For my safety, but more for the safety of my family.
Safety of my family. How the fuck would anybody know who your family is if you testified? Anyway, don't get me started.
There were 3 main conversations that we're focused on today. The first with Melly and Goon, the second Melly and Irk, and the third being that with Fredo Bang. Obviously, this is not confirmed, so whenever I say that this is Melly's phone texting them, this is just based off the evidence they're presenting. I think I've said this before, but I do believe that this is enough evidence to show that this is Melly's phone. But in the end, I think the true issue they're going to have is proving 100% that Melly was the one in the car, in that seat. So far, during Danny Polo's testimony, all the rappers named have been Young Thug, Lil Boozy, Travis Scott, Kodak Black, Lil Durk, Kevin Gates, Fredo Bang, Trippie Redd, Jules Santana, Quando Rondo, French Montana, and even Drake at one point. But that was a witness that came and testified against him in the XXXTentacion case, claiming that he was not in a gang. I'd say the most damning part of all of this evidence is the fact that it just shows how affiliated and how involved that Melly was, or at least aware of, the Bloods gang. I don't think you would ever respond to somebody blasting you this much unless there was some reason or they were affiliated with something that you were obviously kind of respecting in some sense. All this evidence would overall come back to hurt the prosecution because the defense went on to claim that this was the Bloods gang harassing Melly instead of him partaking with them. Let's just dive into some of these texts from Gino, who's affiliated with the Bloods gang. Once the family get a real glimpse of how you rock with me, it's all access granted. I can't really fuck with fool like that. The things I ask you to do don't even cost money. SMH. I'm with you though, you'll see. All of this is obviously very threatening and would piss me off if I was Melly. No more shows for you in that track. I'm putting bubblegum in his hair, yin yang twin looking ass. So Track is Melly's manager, and he's obviously has some beef with him for not probably posting some shit on Instagram or something. I'm here to help you, but I refuse not to be held back. In all actuality, you don't fuck with me or the set. I'm beefing with y'all in Florida. I don't even know. SMH, why are you even around? You doing sucker shit and playing the victim. Melly responded, been focused on buying my mama a house. He comes back again and says, I know you out. Blasting him more. Post me for my belated birthday, Herc. I'm only asking because I got hella hoes last time you posted me. This guy is trying to get hoes. That's all he's worried about. Aside from just reading text messages all day, the prosecution showed a lot of photos of Melly repping the Blood Gang and G-Shine. Here you could see him with Lil Durk and King Von. Here's footage they showed of somebody calling Melly, and his name saved in the phone is Melly's bitch ass. And in this video, they asked him, what set does he rep? And he responds, Gino.
Hey, who you want with? Who you want with? I want Gino, man. You want who? Gino. I'm not like Gordon.
Right after this, it's also worth noting that Melly's attorney objected.
It ain't no talking, but you trying to meet yourself so I can beat your ass, Jit.
One of the strangest things, too, to come out of this is his text saying that he got in a fight with NBA Youngboy and All Slime. I don't know if that's applying just to Youngboy's team and calling them Slime, or if he's talking about actually YSL. But then he follows it up and says, the internet don't know because I don't rock like that. Then he said he got jumped by 9 people and that he had to fire off rounds at them, but had to get a new phone because of this incident. So the defense's argument is that, yes, it could be Melly's phone, which they really aren't admitting, but they're trying to say that this was a group phone shared by the label and by the other members of YNW. There's 3 main pieces of evidence we're going to see the defense lay out. The first one we've already seen is that Melly doesn't respond to a lot of the texts, and there's a good amount that he didn't even open. The next would be that Melly would have been dealt with in prison had he not gotten permission to take them out. You can't just kill people like that and not have consequences, and I don't think that'd be something Melly would do, knowing that there's a potential he could get locked up and be dealt with. And the final approach that the defense will probably take is blaming the Blood and G-Shine affiliates for the deaths of Sack Chaser and Juvie. It seems more likely at this point that maybe they had something to do with it, considering there's a long string of text messages of them just straight up threatening Melly. Also, the detective Danny Polo basically said that he does not think that Melly and the YNW friends are fully indoctrinated into this gang. Yes, they might be affiliated, but to him, he sees no evidence that they are fully in it.
It's very minor evidence of their gang association. Obviously, there's videos of them together, the YNW collective together, hanging out.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for getting to this point with me. Please subscribe. I'm going to be doing this every day following every trial, just giving a good recap and pointing out the best parts so you don't have to sit there and go through all of that. Definitely leave me any criticism that you may have and how I can improve these videos in any way. And I appreciate you guys, and definitely please leave me a like and subscribe. Thank you.